Announced to huge fanfare at E3 2017, Josef Fares' follow-up to Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons promised to be just as radical of an experiment. Where other developers have constantly come up with excuses as to why they can't include split screen, the answer is greed. The answer is always greed. A Way Out was opting to tell an entirely split-screen story that requires two people to take on its 6-ish hour campaign. It could have gone so terribly wrong, but it's a testament to the fact that EA might not, maybe, be the worst company in the world, that they continue to push bold ideas like this and give them the funding and the resources they need. But a game can't survive on ideas alone, and although A Way Out has a clearly ambitious concept at the heart of it, if it didn't have the gameplay substance or the narrative originality to expand on these ambitions, it would have floundered out the gate. Fortunately, it has both of those things in spades. On the surface, A Way Out looks like your everyday run-of-the-mill prison drama. Taking cues from classics like The Shawshank Redemption, Prison Break, and A Prophet, the early hours focus on familiar iconography and cover narrative beats fans of the genre may recognize, but it's all made fresh by its two central characters, Leo and Vincent. The former is a long-time con currently serving 6 months into an 8-year sentence, while the latter is a freshly faced incarcerated prisoner serving time for murder. At first, they're pretty much defined by their archetypal roles. Leo is a younger hothead who likes to go through life making as much trouble as possible, whereas Vincent, despite being convicted for murder, is far more calm and collected, opting to bluff and talk his way through difficult situations. Initially two conflicting strangers, the two find themselves bonding over a common enemy, eventually teaming up to break out of their confines. What's great about A Way Out's writing, though, is how it sucks you in through these familiar archetypes, only to warp them more and more as the game goes on. There's a depth to the writing that could have easily been lacking, and although the game does pay homage to past genre giants, Leo and Vincent feel like compelling characters with their own backstories and real motivations for doing what they're doing. These aren't just two crooks, they're real people with real goals and desires, who just so happen to have fallen into the wrong line of work with men who are far more villainous than they are. Everything is so centered around the relationship with these two misfits that quite simply, the whole thing would have fallen down if the writing wasn't so spot on. If you didn't care about the two leads, A Way Out could have become a soulless amalgamation of influences and cliches, but fortunately you care about these characters, the world they're in, and want to see them get through the story safely. The more the game reveals about these characters, the more invested you become, helped even further by the way you're always in control of one character no matter what's happening on screen. Although the story of the two are very much entwined, A Way Out is best played by sticking to one protagonist for the duration and connecting to them as an extension of you, something which is brilliantly facilitated by the pitch-perfect gameplay mechanics. Even after finishing it though, it's difficult to define just what type of game A Way Out is. Sometimes it plays out like a telltale narrative-heavy release where choices matter, or even a straight-up walking simulator, whereas other times it's a pretty solid third-person shooter or a bombastic 2.5D beat-em-up. You rarely do anything twice and it's all pretty solid, but there isn't one unifying gameplay theme running out the title, except maybe the nebulous and vague idea of co-op. Whatever minigame you're playing through, it's always inextricably tied to the title's co-op mechanics. Every action is in service of a reaction from your partner, whether that's the two helping each other sneak into an area, or simply trying to outshine each other on a banjo. Because yeah, here's a light crammed in every game they could think of into this. The cooperation allows the gameplay to be far more than the sum of its parts. Although a lot of the action boils down to mashing square as fast as possible or holding down the right trigger in sync with your partner, the constant reliance on each other creates not only a strong bond between the characters, but the people playing in real life too. There are divergent ways to get through levels as well, depending on whether you side with Leo or Vincent on how to tackle a certain situation. These options aren't too common and they don't split the narrative in any meaningful ways, but when the credits rolled, I wanted to boot up the game straight away to see what I'd missed. However, although there's a lot to do in A Way Out's 37 chapters, admittedly not all of the content is cut from the same cloth. Each area usually has a handful of different NPCs to talk to, and while it's interesting to see how Leo and Vincent interact with these people differently, they don't really add anything substantial to the overall narrative. Likewise, although a lot of the more mundane gameplay elements can offer a satisfying bit of downtime, for instance a moment where Leo and Vincent have to go fishing, other opportunities like being able able to control power drills or chip away at blocks of wood only highlight just how throwaway a lot of these extraneous interactive moments are. A lot of them don't really mesh with the urgency of the story either. At least 2 times throughout the campaign you're thrown into seemingly time-sensitive situations, but the game lets you tinker with the environment and mess about until your heart's content. You can try on hats, play video games, and drink a beer if you want, but while the interactions that come from doing all of these things are charming and build the characters, they do take something away from the narrative at hand. Likewise, although much has been said about the developers using a split-screen style even when playing online, it's more than justified from the get-go. The split-screen approach allows both players to be constantly in control over their own characters, even during story moments that don't apply to them, enabling a deeper connection to whichever con you're playing as. You still get to see the whole story as the screen expands and shifts depending on the focus of a particular scene, but the fact that you're always in control of your character, bar a few key moments, awards you with not only a better understanding of them, but a deeper connection to them as well. More than just a gimmick, this presentational style proves just how unique video games are as a medium, as while the gameplay is pretty solid, it's completely elevated by this context. Sometimes it indulges in its aesthetic to heighten the suspense of a certain sequence, for instance showing enemies closing in on you while you and your partner frantically attempt to keep one step ahead on the other side of the screen, or a brilliant inspired Warner action scene that cuts between both characters trying to get to the same location in different ways. Each transition is always in service of a more complex goal, whether that's to create a unique gameplay scenario or to deliver a narrative beat from a perspective a player wouldn't be used to. Although A Way Out is hugely enjoyable though, for the most part it's entirely made by its gut punch of an ending. There's really no way to talk about it without spoiling the pants off it, but if you don't want to know any more, then just know that it's a culmination of not only the narrative, but the entire gameplay style, and is goddamn heartbreaking. If you do want to know more, then there'll be spoilers for the rest of this section. Okay, so after spending the entire game with Leo and Vincent, watching them get their gory, glorious revenge, the final twist pits the two together, as well as the people playing as them. It's not an entirely unique concept, but the way A Way Out presents it so confidently and with so much heart makes the twist so effective. This is where the attachment to your character comes in as well. You might think that either man is right and not want to kill them, but the fact that you spent this long with your protagonist means that you feel enough of a connection to them to want to murder the other person. It's by far the best part of the game and is the reason why you shouldn't chop and change characters as you go through the chapters. I don't even know why that option is there at all, to be honest with you. Also, while it'll no doubt be impactful when you're playing online, there's something special about playing locally, smashing that square button to try and get the gun before the person next to you does, only to have to grab it and shoot them right in the chest. Please, don't make me do that again, Josef Fares. Why? Why? It's the type of scenario video games were made for. Overall, A Way Out offers a stunning, compelling experience that makes great use of its inherently interactive form to craft a memorable, hard-hitting story. It wears its influences on its sleeve, and the realities of the small-scale production do shine through the cracks now and again, but when it's firing on all cylinders, A Way Out is compelling, heartbreaking, and emotionally driven, with a gameplay system to boot. Likewise, the story is so well told and the ending so goddamn satisfying that it's easy to overlook those missteps for a final rating of 4 out of 5. So that's what I thought of the compelling A Way Out, but what do I know? I want to know what you guys think about the game in the comments, and let me know whether I'm right or wrong or bang on the money. I've been Josh, you've been watching What Culture, and I'll see you soon.
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe below, and also there's probably more content floating up above my head, so why not check that out as well? Could be a laugh. Probably. 6 out of 10.